Hey Branson, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good, thanks.
Hey, I think you probably want to tell the class that the Facebook portal recording device is on sale for $99.
Okay.
Um, which I was trying to log into it for what is the meeting ID?
Um, I don't know. Hold on, let me look it up. I think it's the same one every time, as far as I know.
So it's probably that.
Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
probably-
Um, I think the meeting ID and all that stuff is, hold on one second, is in the URL. So wait a second, let me go to Zoom and see if I can, it breaks it down on Zoom. The link that we have includes all that stuff automatically. You want the meeting ID, is that what you said?
Mhm.
252
Okay.
550 0833.
Mm,
Did that work?
No,
No?
nope, that one did not work.
It's the only one I have. I'm looking at it in Zoom. Passcode is,
Maybe because I'm already logged in, it won't let me log in again.
yeah, probably.
Okay, let me log out and try it again.
Okay.
Hey Dennis, how are you?
Good, Grant. How you doing?
Doing good.
All right. Nice, beautiful day today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, low humidity, nice breeze. Hey Doug, how you doing today? Hey Karen, how are you?
Hey there.
How's it going?
Good. Weather's great.
I know, this is something I could get used to.
It really is good.
I was born in upstate New York and lived there until I was about 10,
Mhm.
up on Lake Ontario. And this is a typical summer day up there. It rarely even hits 80, and it's never anything.
Wow.
It's just a real common summer day. It's how I grew up with this kind of weather. And every time it happens here, I'm amazed.
That's a big change for you then.
Well, I moved to the DC area when I was 10, and
Mm.
DC is actually worse than here, believe it or not. It's,
Humidity.
yeah, the humidity is crazy. It's kind of a swamp all around the Potomac and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really
Oh.
high humidity. And I
Yeah.
always felt like if you could live there, you could literally live anywhere. Because back in the old days, this is a true story. The British, when they would be assigned to Washington, their troops were allowed to wear their tropical uniforms. It's the only place other than tropics that they were allowed. And that meant shorts and short sleeve shirts and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that. That's
Yeah, it
great.
was so hot and humid. Also, when they named DC as the capital, it was because nobody wanted the land. Neither Maryland nor Virginia nor anyone else really wanted it. And that's what I was taught when I was a kid anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Branson, you want to tell everybody what you discovered?
Okay, yeah, I discovered Facebook Portal is having a sale, so you can get one that goes on top of your TV. So and basically you get Facebook Live, Zoom, all that, and it has the follow you technology. So when you go out of frame, it follows, and if it's different people, it follows the camera, circles them out. But it's great for like when you're getting up there to sell products and everything, because it's very portable. It's about the size of a tablet, and they have one that, like I said, sits on front of your TV. The one with the tablet has more features, but it's small enough that you can pick it up, take it apart, put it in a bag. It's sturdy, and move around and sell it. So I'm gonna use it a lot with my clients, and with the radio station, being able to go live and be able to show things, sit down with people, do interviews with their products, to do videos, to get them to do demonstrations. It's a great product to get, and it's on sale now for $99. Before it was like $279 or something like that, and I think they had one for what $69. So it's able to pick up the audio. Suppose the camera visual and everything is good. So I recommend it.
Where did you purchase, Branson? Where'd you
Uh,
buy?
I went on
Oh,
just go to Portal Facebook.
okay.
And that's where I got it from.
Can you use it with Zoom? Like, could I be running this class using that?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, our guest is here. The big man, John Loyack, is here. Yay, John.
Hey, Dennis, good to see everybody.
Good to see you. All right. We are
Yeah.
so excited to have you, John, and and to hear about exporting and about the work you guys do in North Carolina. So I think it's time to go. So I'm going to hand it off to my friend John, and everybody meet the guy with the money for exporting right here. Here you go.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. I've got a PowerPoint that I'll run through, but I would love to kind of go through the audience and hear from you all and tell me a little bit about what businesses you're involved in.
Sure. Branson, I'm going to just go what's order on my screen. So Branson, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Branson Edwards. Big Bougie. I'm a audio engineer, entrepreneur. I work with a lot of Eastern Carolina artists and urban culture people. I own a production company, a digital media company, and a digital publishing company. And now we own a radio station called ENC96.com radio, which is going to be just to promote local business shows through podcasts and music, and also try to export the music out of North Carolina from this area to around the world. So that's what I'm working on.
Great.
Fantastic. All right. I think I have Rachel next.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Normally I'm with my husband, Dan, but he is in another meeting, unfortunately. We're in the program because we're going to be starting a community commercial kitchen and a job incubators business. but I'm actually very interested in what you have to say because of a side project that I'm working on with my mother. We're developing CBD infused beauty products. They're going to be handcrafted. We've got 40 stores lined up that are interested in carrying our product. And I have always been very interested in how to export and what that involves.
Terrific.
Okay, next I have Quandell.
Hello, Quandel Chanel, Freedom Hill brand. We are a apparel and accessory business that's 100% online through drop shipping, Shopify. With our name is built out of the philosophy of historic Princeville, North Carolina, which is the oldest town in America charted by freed African American slaves.
Okay,
I know it well.
next person I have is CB Hawkins.
Hi, so it's Catherine, Connor, Brooke, and Madeline here, and we're Alignment Dancewear. So we create high quality handmade dancewear, and so it can be customizable or ready to ship. And we're concentrating on creating a brand that is size inclusive as well as skin color inclusive, as those are important qualities that are becoming bigger in the dance community.
Terrific.
Karen, I have next, if I'm doing this
Okay.
right.
Yes, I'm Karen Haythcock, and my husband and I have a Indian Springs pecans, and we sell wholesale, retail. We have grocery stores, restaurants, and so that's what we do. And just this course is making our business better.
Great.
Hey, Karen, I'll pay you later, girl.
Okay.
They also have a pecan orchard. They grow pecans as well.
Yeah, we have an orchard and a nursery.
I'm a big fan.
All right, and then I
Thank you.
think Doug Thomas, is that the only one I've missed?
Yes.
Okay, hey Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug Thomas. I'm out of Goldsboro. I'm going to be making a modular martial arts weapons kit that reduces the weight of traditional individual weapons from over 20 pounds down to 5 pounds. And so I'm going to be trying to sell that nationally and possibly even internationally.
Very cool.
All
And-
right.
Dennis, that's everybody?
Yeah, so far, they'll keep streaming in.
Okay. Well, no, folks, I appreciate it. I appreciate the introductions, and can appreciate where you are. I've been in your shoes. I've worked for a healthcare IT startup a number of years ago, and that was, I spent the first 25 years of my career in the private sector and only came over to work with a state-funded agency years later. And it was largely due to an introduction that someone made to me to some of these entities and some of these resources that turned me on to all of this. And so here I am today as an advocate for these programs. So I'm going to share a couple of things today, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody so you can see the presentation I have. I think you all can see that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. But I want to talk a little bit just about our organization. I'm going to try to do the slideshow mode. Has that worked out for everybody?
Not yet. It's still, yeah, there we go. Now we got it.
Great. And you can see my next slide.
Yep.
Great. So a lot of people ask me what our organization is. As many of you can see, I am in downtown Raleigh. I'll explain a little bit about locations in general and what the General Assembly has asked us to do. But just to give you kind of an overview of this organization, we are essentially the sales and marketing arm of the Department of Commerce. And so 7 years ago, the General Assembly and Governor created this standalone nonprofit. So when you work with my organization, you are working with the state. 90% of our funding does come from the state, but we are an independent nonprofit that can operate differently than a state agency. If that's meaningful to any of you and you'd like any more detail into the depths of how we do this and why and how that works, I'm happy to have that conversation anytime. But just know that Ours is an organization. We are funded by the taxpayer funding that comes from the state of North Carolina. We have some federal grants that support us that we then turn over to you all. And we raise private sector, funding from the private sector as well. But what's really more important is what we actually do. And we are the group that is here to promote tourism in the state of North Carolina. So tourism is an amazingly important industry for the state. As you all know, whether we're at the beach or the mountains, it's a really important part of what we do. We're also the group that are focused on recruiting new businesses in. So anybody who heard the headlines about Apple coming into the state of North Carolina, that was done by my organization. The three teams that I'm here to talk to you all about, though, are focused on existing industry. And to be perfectly frank, these are things that fly under the radar. That's not going to surprise any of you. You know, when you all open up the newspapers, if you did, or you got the alert to your phone about the Apple announcement, you would have seen that, you know, in some ways, some of the way it's portrayed is that millions of dollars are provided to attract these new businesses. What I can tell you is it's not millions of dollars. It is all performance based. And so if they hire the people, they do get incentives only after they do. Long story short, though, is many people read those headlines and wonder, what is the state doing for existing industry? So I've got a couple of resources I want to share with you all today to give you a little sense of what we do and how we can support your businesses. I was really excited to hear about this program and hear about the focus on exporting, but I'll start by talking about just a little bit about some of the other organizations that I manage. First is our existing industry team. So most of you, I believe, are all out in the eastern part of the state. I didn't hear Goldsboro. I still consider eastern because I'm in Raleigh.
We have someone from Salisbury. We actually draw from Asheville in the
Great.
past, but mostly eastern, but we do get a sprinkling from other areas.
Good. So you'll see the bottom bullet here says that the point of creating this organization was to get Raleigh out of Raleigh. We know small business owners don't have the time to drive into Raleigh to learn about resources or to attend a meeting. They're looking for folks to come to them. And so the good news is we do have a team of folks based all over the state. We cover every industry. We cover big businesses and small ones, and we cover all counties. And so there are a number of introductions that I'll be able to make as follow-up to this meeting, but just want to let you know that we do have folks that are out there in your communities who can work with you, who can show up and learn a little bit about your business and tell you how they can support your work. In terms of what this team does, what I would say is, if you think about 2020, the tourism industry pretty much shut down for several months. People weren't traveling. We have seen some significant upshifts since then, but initially that business was just kind of on hold. Restaurants shut down, hotels shut down. That's the way that things worked when you've got a global pandemic on your hands. The existing industry team did not. This team was probably busier than they had ever been, literally working 70 to 80 hours a week, taking calls on a whole variety of things. Some of the things that I'd like to call out were, number one, this was the team that was the local conduit to all of the local, state, federal COVID-related resources. And so if there was some kind of a new grant or a new loan program, these folks were kind of the tip of the spear in getting that information out to the communities. They're also amazing in terms of supply chain connections. And so when a business calls us and says, hey, my Chinese supplier can't get me this type of product, can you find me a replacement for it? That's something that we are very good at. And so it's important that we know about your businesses, so we know, hey, here's someone that is looking for, locally grown pecans. We need to know who those folks are. And so that is an important part of what we do. As your businesses grow and you want somebody to come in and talk to you about manufacturing and process improvements, we've got trained engineers who can come in and talk to you about those sort of things. If you're looking for some market research or analysis, you're looking for qualified workforce, these are all things that our team does. And so we'll be working very closely with your businesses as you grow. The point for us being is we want to see your business grow. We want to see you hiring more people, and we want to tell you about the resources that can help you do that. Just a quick glimpse at the map of the state gives you an idea of where these folks are and what territories they cover. Sarah Bernhardt, who is our representative in the Northeast, lives in Little Washington. She covers the entire 17 county region, and her office is her car. Of course, during COVID, we were all working virtually, but if somebody from Camden County calls today, Sarah's going to drive up and support them. And then you see the map will show you where we've got folks, and I'll provide all this information as follow-up to this meeting. This team is, our small business support team is probably knowing where some of your businesses are in, the phase of growth for businesses in general. This team will be the most important team for you all. Our small business advisors are a team of 4 who are on the business end of a 1-800 number. 1-800 number is right there. I'd encourage you all to write it down and use it. As you grow, or as you try to register your business, you've got questions about how to do that. Should I go with an LLC? Should I register as a corporation? How do I register? If we're manufacturing something, what are the things I need to know? Is there a particular license that I need for this industry? For manufacturing food products, what are the regulations that I'll need to comply with? What does the North Carolina Department of Agriculture have to say about any of this? How do I make sure I'm paying my taxes properly and paying my taxes on my employees? What sort of resources are out there for a minority, woman-owned, veteran-owned business? This team is the tip of the spear for all of those questions. And so these are folks who take, I would say 60% of the calls that we take throughout the year are from folks who are starting businesses up, who want to answer some of those questions I described. A lot of them are from existing businesses. Last year, we were taking calls from restaurants who were ready to pivot to a food truck because of the pandemic. And we helped them understand what are the regulations around owning a food truck in the state of North Carolina. But if there's anything you need to know about running a business here in the state, this is the team you call. During COVID, I think this team, like all of my teams, they were extremely busy. These were the folks who were taking calls from folks who wanted to know, what are some of the, what do I need to know about federal unemployment insurance? We are a sole proprietorship. Why can't I apply for some of these benefits, but other organizations can? What are the federal and state relief loans and grant programs that are out there? The questions that we're getting today is what we saw last year is the CARES Act funding came through from the federal government. There were a variety of different programs that the state of North Carolina launched to use those funds. We tracked all those programs because we know you don't have the time to do all this. And so we let people know where things were going. A lot of those programs that were funded by CARES Act have since ended. The programs themselves have expired, the funding is gone. And so now folks are wondering, okay, John, what's next? So I was talking to somebody here in the Raleigh area who owns a coffee and chocolate business and just wants to know, when's that next round coming through? For those of us here in the Raleigh area, we do keep an eye on the governor's budget, the Senate, the House, and where all those, at what point do we think those three are going to match up so that your businesses can get access to some of these things? And so we're the ones who are keeping track of those things so you all don't have to. So anyone who's looking to get questions answered about resources available for small businesses should call that 1-800 number. And now the reason for being here today, and incidentally, I'm happy to take questions as we go along. I think this is really, for me, this is a very exciting part of the presentation. Before I just dive right in though, what I can assure you is exporting is something that, just as a North Carolinian and as an American, I want to promote more exports. At this point, in terms of the total GDP for the state of North Carolina, Exports are somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8% of our total GDP. We'd love to see that expand to 20 to 30%, which is what a lot of the European countries are doing. We'd love to see things continue to expand. To be perfectly frank, here in the US, we're spoiled. We're spoiled because we have so much consumption power, so much consumption going on that you've got a great market opportunity right here in the US. But what I like to tell people is, if you're not looking at exporting, you're in essence ignoring 95% of the world's market. What I mean by that is 95% of the world's population is outside of the US. So if you're not doing business internationally, you're ignoring that market. There are folks who are looking for dance clothes all over the world. How do we connect them? What I do want to say, though, to start off, is that this can be tricky business. Now, you'll deal with fraud here in the US. You will also deal with fraud outside of the country. This organization, this international trade team, is here to help you deal with those challenges. So what I'll say is, some of you, and if any of you have an experience with international selling, please feel free to share it with us. But what I can assure you is, someone at some point has been contacted by an international buyer. You don't know anything more than this email address. Could be just a generic Gmail address. They tell you that they're in a location. It could be in England. It could be in Turkey. It could be in Africa. It could be in China. But you don't really know. And so one of the things that our team is here for is to help you identify the legitimate buyers out there. So before you get into any kind of engagement with international buyers, I would say there's a number of steps you're going to want to take. What this team is here to do is to get you into exporting, but to do it in the safest, most productive way that we can. So just by way of introduction, I'll give you a little bit of background on this team. So Mike Hubbard is our Director of International Trade. Mike is he's a licensed customs broker. He is someone who has traveled the world. He's worked very closely with furniture industry, textile industry, has contacts in DC, has contacts with embassies around the world. He's a great person to know when it comes to international trade. What's most important is Mike and his team have fantastic ties to folks here in the state and partners up in DC, federal partners, but also partners around the world. And so if you're looking to find out if this buyer who's approached you, who said that they want to buy 1,000 units of your product and are asking you to provide them with some kind of financing for it, we would tell you, before you do that, let's dig in a little bit and find out what we can about this buyer. So there's a couple of things that I'll go over to let you know, but just know that no matter where you're thinking about doing business, we've got resources that can help you understand what it is. It's also going to be important to know a little bit about what's going on in those markets, because there may be certain export compliance or controls considerations that you need to be aware of. There is regulations here in the US that we call ITAR. This is the International Trade of Arms and Munitions. If you are a golf club manufacturer who specializes in titanium shafts and you ship product overseas, the federal government doesn't necessarily want you to do that, because that's something that could be viewed as or could be weaponized in another country. And so you've got responsibility for these things. And so our team is here in place to help you all understand what's going on. But let me take a quick pause and ask if anyone's had any international experience at this point.
Anybody?
No.
I've had some conversations with Alibaba and their B2B portal and their Tmall Global direct to consumer teams. I've been chatting with them for the last couple of weeks.
Terrific.
We
Yeah.
had, oh, sorry.
No, please.
We had calls and emails from buyers for a long time. And you really don't know. So it's nice to have an organization to go to.
Absolutely. And I will say, let me start by saying that it is, I'll say we a lot, but it is a lot more than my organization. one of the reasons that North Carolina is a leader in terms of exporting around the world is that we've got this great collection of export partners here in the state of North Carolina. That would include organizations like mine, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, who would be able to help us with some of those nut questions. It'd be the NC Ports. It'd be federal partners like the SBA and the U.S. Department of Commerce, who have local contacts right here. It'd be Customs and Border Patrol. Whatever questions you all run into, we've got people here locally that we can lean on to get answers for the questions that you have. So we've got this team here who are capable of getting in the car and driving all around. They also travel internationally. Things have slowed down significantly in the last year. You know, we all know that. But I will say things are beginning to come back. And we actually had a group of small businesses that are over in Dubai this week for a show called Arab Health. And that is a show that we have taken a group of, small trade delegation over to see what it's like to do business in terms of selling medical devices, hospital equipment, pharmaceutical products, and other things into the Middle East. And so it's coming back, and we're really excited to see that. Having said that, there is a lot to do. And so what I would tell you all in terms of follow-up, kind of the immediate things that you can do, we've got a series of webinars that we run, and we'll make sure that everybody gets our website, but we're running a series of webinars throughout the pandemic, but it's something that we do typically in any given year. But we're doing things, very specific presentations on specific export compliance issues. We're talking about the US, Mexico, and Canada free trade agreement and how to take advantage of some of those programs. We're talking about things like the automotive industry in Poland and what opportunities are there for North Carolina exporters, all of those sort of things. So we've got some great educational opportunities that can give you all some more background on exporting. What I would say for you all right now is, well, what's important, and I think one of the reasons that I would advocate for working with our group is it's not just about what we can tell you and how to sell your products internationally. It's about our experience with other companies here. So there are other music companies here, and I'm thinking of one in Hillsborough, for example, Red Eye Music Distribution. These are folks who are in place right now, and we have an annual export award event that we do, and they were one of our top winners this year for the e-commerce award. And so we've got a lot of businesses that are really active in exporting, and they're very excited to share their experiences with you all. And so when it comes to finding a distributor in Europe or Canada, it might help, and you're not competing with some of these other businesses. And so some of these folks are very happy to share information about their experiences and who some of their partners are. And it just gets you one step closer to making sure that you're working with a legitimate partner. So we promote North Carolina exports, but on the other side of that, we know that we work within a global economy. We also promote imports as well. And what I mean by that is, going back to the supply chain issue, there's a lot of things, just think about a t-shirt, think about everything that goes into that. Here in North Carolina, we grow the cotton, a lot of that in northeastern North Carolina, and then we take it off to our spinning mills right here in the state of North Carolina. It used to be that we'd make the t-shirts here. We don't do that as much anymore. But that yarn that is spun here goes overseas. It goes to Central America, the t-shirts are made, and then they come back into this market. And so you've got this amazing global supply chain going on, and we're all dependent on one another. So imports are part of that. My goal is to find you what you need right here in North Carolina. If I can't find it here in North Carolina, we'll find it somewhere in the region or the US in general. But if we've got to export, we want to make sure you're working with a legitimate partner, or importing, that is, we can help you find that as well. Then when it comes to exporting, there's a variety of different partners we want to make sure you're working with as well. But let me take you through just a little bit about what we do in general. And I would say is, if you look at the bullets at the top, this is really the starting point. What I would tell anyone is, you need, it's like with starting your business in general. You got to have a strategy. Rather than just take that call from somebody in the Middle East who wants to buy 1,000 units of your product, why not have a strategy and some market research behind you that can tell you where the top markets are? And so from our perspective, we want to be your advocates. And so we'll do that market research for you. We can provide you some intelligence on your products and show you where the best markets are. Once that's done, we'll be your general advocates for whatever other issues might exist. We'll begin to start those agent distributor searches for you. Like we have a number of international offices overseas. I'll share some information about them in a minute. But we want to make sure you're connected to the right people. And we've got people around the world to support you. The export finance bullet is, I think, one of the most important ones for this group. You know, anyone doing business, whether it's here in the US or it's overseas, you're going to have discussions and negotiations about what terms need to be offered. What I see most here in the US is there's an international Chamber of Commerce term for essentially just putting product out on your loading dock, and that is Ex Works. So in essence, all of the risk is on the buyer. You put it out on your loading dock, and then FedEx, DHL, UPS comes and pick it up, but all of the risk is now on the buyer. They've got to pay up front. That's for you all as manufacturers, or you selling something here in the US, that's the least risky method. And it's one that I'd certainly support until you get some more experience with this. But over time, to really develop relationships, you may find yourself in a situation where you need to offer additional terms to your partners, to someone who's proven that they're a legitimate partner and someone you can work with. And so there's a number of entities here in the US to help with export financing. One group that comes to mind is a group called the Export-Import Bank. It's a federal institution. They're out of DC. This is a federal agency who is in place to what their term is to help you sleep at night. And so in a lot of situations, you may have a business that comes to you and says, hey, you need to give me at least 90 days before I pay you on this. And so in essence, you're going to ship your product overseas, maybe to Europe, and then you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to give them 90 days before they pay you. Well, that's a risk you might not be ready to take. So you can bring in an organization like the Export-Import Bank. And what they'll do is they can provide you with guarantees and insurance policies that don't cost a lot and can be added onto an invoice. But what you're doing is giving yourself that peace of mind, something that's going to allow you to sleep at night. In essence, what ends up happening is if this client doesn't pay you back over time, it's not you going after them and trying to collect on something that, you know, from a buyer who's overseas and thousands of miles away, but it's the federal government who's going after them. If they provided you a guarantee, the Export-Import Bank, you get reimbursed, and then the federal government goes after these international buyers. So there's all kinds of little tricks like this to things that exist. And so just to kind of recap, what I would say is you got to have a strategy. You've got to do some research up front. Think about some tools like the export finance tools. But now we're in a situation where now we're ready to travel. And one of my partners at the US Department of Commerce, he likes to say that he's in the business of putting butts in seats. He wants to help people travel around the world so that they can sell their products. Now, you all know there's no better way for you to sell your product than to have a face-to-face conversation with someone. Doesn't always work that way, especially if there's a global pandemic going on, but there really is a benefit to that. Now, having said that, you're small business owners. You're not necessarily ready to lay out the cash to fly somewhere. You don't have the marketing budget to get your own booth at an event. You don't know where these events are. And that's where our organization comes in. So for folks who do have a strategy in place and are ready to take that next step, we do, when there's not a global pandemic going on, my team typically attends 35 to 40 international trade events per year. As I mentioned, we've got one going on this week in Dubai, but we go all over the world. The point of us traveling is to bring you all and to expose you all to these different markets. And so whether it's us or it's the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, we take North Carolina producers, manufacturers into these locations. We cover the costs of the booth. We introduce you to our local contacts who can do some B2B meetings for you and introduce you to the right buyers. You know, essentially, it's something that gives you the opportunity to participate in a trade delegation that you might not otherwise would have thought that you could participate in. So there's an awful lot that we can do there. As I mentioned, the trade shows obviously have been a challenge. They've dried up. They are beginning to come back slowly, but where we have turned over the last year, and one of the most important things that you all can do, and I think a great opportunity for us to work together at this point, is focusing on website optimization. I don't have to ask for a show of hands from folks to raise to see who might purchase something from a foreign language website. I have not. I'm not going to go to a website that is in Brazilian Portuguese and order something and put my credit card in for a product in a currency that I don't understand and using a language that I don't read and write. So our point with this website optimization work is we're telling people, hey, since we can't travel because of the pandemic, now is a great time to focus on your website, but optimizing your website for international travel, international commerce. So we've had businesses all over the state. One of our best examples is a company called Advanced Super Abrasives. They're a small business. I don't think they're quite 50 employees out in Mars Hill, North Carolina. They have created splash pages on their website. So if a buyer from Mexico is coming in who doesn't speak English, they can go to this splash page and see something that's written in Mexican Spanish that has, you know, the Mexican currency and lets them know exactly what they need to know. It's something that just helps international buyers feel a little bit more comfortable, just like we would expect here. Someone wanting to do business in Germany could have a German splash page, Japanese, etc. I mean, these are things that we can do over and over again. And the good news is we do have some grant opportunities for programs that would help you optimize your website for international traffic. We're also aware of a lot of different e-commerce platforms that are out there. And so we work with a couple of those vendors and can give you some great tips on where to go, what tools to use, and other companies that you can talk to see what else you're going to need to know in advance. But there's a variety of different opportunities here for working with organizations like mine.
I say, John, so in that example you just gave, let's say somebody has an English, regular website here. You could help them translate that, if you will, or make that available, say, to Germany or to Spain or Mexico. You would be able to help folks get that done?
Absolutely. And so the website optimization program that we offer, and we'll be doing some webinars on this next month. But in essence, it would translate the website, set up an e-commerce platform so you can allow for international transactions to take place. It will also work that we do some work with search engine optimization. So in a local market, you're popping up and looking like a domestic seller to an international audience.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something not only this group, but our previous classes, I think, would find really interesting.
Well, it all ties to a program that we've been doing with the SBA for the last 10 years. It's called, here in North Carolina, we call it the NC Passport to Export program. This is, what it really ties back to is an initiative the Obama administration launched in 2010 called the National Export Initiative. And so President Obama, working along with Congress, set aside some money for the SBA to turn to states and to organizations like mine and say, hey, what would you all do to promote exports? And we turned around and said, hey, we already take people to these international trade shows. What we'd like to do with that is, in addition to covering the cost of the booth, we want to pay for people's flight and for their hotel stay. So we offer that. We want to be able to translate a company's marketing materials before they leave. So we can offer grants for that. And then, of course, the website optimization was another thing that we got into as well. And so, yes, these are funds that are available now to assist businesses. What I would say is some of them, we can work with a lot of different vendors. There are some vendors that there may be an out-of-pocket portion required, but in most cases, what we offer for grants, you all incur the cost. You go out and find a translator, for example. You have materials translated. You come back to us. When your application's been completed in advance, of course, you come back to us and we reimburse you for that work. So these are things that are available, and I want you all to take advantage of this. We'll follow up with more information on this program, but this is something that I think will have a real impact on your businesses. So the translation of marketing materials, for example, is just really low-hanging fruit, and it's something that we can even introduce you to a couple of translation companies here in the state of North Carolina who run this program with us and who work with us and who we know and we can vouch for. So there's some great opportunities around this and things that we'll want you to take advantage of.
Wow, that's very cool. I love that.
Oh yeah, and then when we're traveling again, there are travel reimbursements and there are grant programs that would cover the cost of a booth. And so as you all grow, if you're at a point where you want to get your own booth at an event, I said that we do the 35 to 40 trade shows a year, but there may be something in a different market or for a different industry that you all want to attend. These booth costs can be covered. And so there might be a music event that you all want to travel to. There might be a natural foods event in Canada that you want to participate in. These grants can cover your travel and the booth costs for your business to be in these events. This is one that I highly, highly recommend this. And it's just one that I want everyone to take advantage of. We have a rolling program. And so right now, for each, if we were to add up all the funds available for all of these categories, the booth, the website optimization, the translation, it comes to the tune of about $24,000 in available opportunity for small businesses. And that's all available through the end of September. Now, here's what you all don't need to know the mechanics of federal grants. We do. But we've got a program that's running through the end of September. So you can take advantage of it this year, come back the next year, and it's like it resets. You could come back and apply for the next year as well. So as I said, these are programs that have been running for the last 10 years, and you can take advantage of it every single year. This is something that could be built into your marketing budgets on an annual basis. And for the qualified small businesses that work with us, this is something that they've got to take advantage of.
Spectacular. So that in your example just gave 24,000 gets you through September, and then you can apply again for another 24,000.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow, that's big.
And then, let's say that all the grants evaporate. Let's say everything goes away. What I can tell you is the state of North Carolina has got a very progressive approach to international trade. We are dedicated to exporting. As an example, I'll tell you, most people will be surprised to know that we have actually had an office in Hong Kong representing North Carolina exporters for 30 years. That's something that the taxpayers of North Carolina pay for. So we as a community are all paying for that. We have 10 international offices that you all can take advantage of. So these are a few of them laid out here. We're actually going to expand things a little bit beginning on July 1st to break into markets like Colombia and Israel and Australia. And so we're going to continue adding to this list. So these are things that are available to you all right now. And so you see that we have offices in just Mexico and Canada. Let's focus on the basics. Any one of you who are approached with a business opportunity in Canada and Mexico, what I would say is call our office, and we have a local person there who can help you understand the opportunity, make sure you're working with a legitimate business partner, help you understand what it's going to take to get your product into the market. If this is something that requires some kind of an agricultural license, or if there's the equivalent of our own FDA registration that's needed, they'll tell you about this in advance so that you don't waste too much time with an opportunity and then hit a brick wall. But these are folks that are there to remove obstacles. And so just to take a step back for a minute, I mentioned I was working for a little software startup in Durham back in 2002. And the US market was a great one. That's where for the market for healthcare IT was really here in the US. But as we prepared to sell our company, we realized that if we had an international footprint, we could be viewed, the acquisition could be even bigger for us. And so, but we didn't know what to do. I didn't know what data formats they use in international locations. I didn't know what kind of customer service we were going to need to provide 24 hours in English. I didn't know what types of devices are used over in a place like England or anywhere else. We didn't know anything about it. We didn't know how to sell into a particular market in these locations. And so a friend of mine turned me on to the North Carolina Department of Commerce. I made a couple of phone calls, and within 6 months, we had our first account in the UK. And it was all because I was working with those folks. They did the research for me. They made the contacts for me and helped me find what I needed. And so it was, I would just tell you this, in terms of what I shared today, even the things that have some dollar amounts on them, this is the best thing that's going to be available to you as you consider exporting.
Fantastic. I think we've got about 5 minutes, John, if that works for you.
Sure. No, I'll wrap it up there and just say, to give you a quick sense of where things have gone over the last 2 years. 2019 was the very best year we've had. We did $34.3 billion in trade. We were riding on a great run. Last year we hit a wall. And so the pandemic hits, worldwide supply chains are affected. We begin to slow down. And so we saw exports drop by about 17% last year. That translates to about $6 billion. So real dollars impacted us. We are seeing all that come surging back. So for the first 4 months of the year, we are actually up 7%. Pharmaceutical, for everyone who thinks that we do nothing but buy from China, what I can tell you is we are doing millions of dollars in trade with the Chinese, and exports to China are up 70%. We are sending pharmaceuticals over there every single day. So exports have an impact. Exports are real. Exports lead to new jobs here in North Carolina. And so I'm very proud to support all this and want to help you all.
Thank you, John. That's good.
Hi, John. I actually had a couple of questions if you had a moment.
Sure.
You mentioned a qualified small business. Is that a program or a process that you have to be certified as a qualified small business to work with you?
So it's an SBA program. So it's following the SBA definition. I would assume that for everyone here, you are qualified small businesses. Now, by the SBA definition, that can go up to 500 employees. What I would tell you is that's a quick conversation with us and we'll let you know if you're certified.
Okay, and my other question was regarding ingredient requirements. I had mentioned the beauty business, and the US FDA has different approved ingredients versus what's in Europe and Japan. Do you assist with making sure that the products would be in compliance with their requirements?
Absolutely, we do a lot of that. And let me share a fun story, maybe not so fun, but for anyone who's buying Chinese cosmetics, I'll just let you know about this. We had a company here, a very large company here in North Carolina contacted me recently. They're a cosmetic company. And they said that the Chinese packaging regulations have changed. The Chinese now insist that any cosmetic company, whether it be a domestic one or an international one, you've got to put something on your label. It's got to say that these products were tested on animals. The Chinese feel that that would be something that would be viewed as advantageous and let people know that, hey, testing on animals is good. We don't believe that. And so we have this company here who are staunchly against testing on animals. And so they want to get their product into the market, but need to figure out how to get over this labeling hump. And so we're going back and forth between different organizations, and we've actually helped them by showing that if we get them a document that shows that they use all the certified manufacturing principles here in the US, they'll be fine. And so we're helping them through that. But the ingredient question is one that comes up a lot, and we can help with that.
And I had one more quick question, because you had mentioned about your experience with the healthcare tech. My primary business is kind of an IT based, and we're looking to develop digital franchises. Is that something that you would be able to maybe talk about later?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that there are a number, if it's not my organization, there are other organizations like the US Department of Commerce who are interested in those things and have experience in it. And so I think there's a lot of things that we can do to help answer questions in that area.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, I think John has given everybody a lot to think about, and I'll certainly post John's contact information in the Slack channel. And John, anything you want to share with us, you can email to me, and I'll be sure that the group gets it. And wow, I'm ready to go to, I don't know where, sell something. I don't know.
I would say step number one, and Dennis, I'll share this with you, our grant manager, her name is Jen Vogelsberg. We'll get her contact information all
Right.
so that you all can get going with the process right away. And
Right.
listen, music, nuts, cosmetics, whatever it is, there is a market for it overseas, and we're happy to help you.
Fantastic. Well, John, thank you once again for your tremendous insight and passion for what you're doing. And we're going to have you back, I promise.
My
So,
pleasure. Thank you, Dennis.
okay.
And best of luck, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.